now that I've got all my parts for the engine, what I'm going to do is put it back together. First what I'm going to do is mount the block here, all that. I'll clean it up a bit, maybe a bit better, see if there's any dirt in there that needs cleaning off. And then mount it on my frame here. Mount it on here. And then I'll sort of just go from there. Okay, I got the block mounted on the platform. So what I'm going to do is pretty much just put everything back on it, pretty much just in reverse. So firstly, put the crankshaft in, then hook up the timing and the oil pump down there. Okay, I got this back together. It's actually a good design of the cam and here, because this cam gear isn't actually part of the like the cam lobe shaft. It's not part of that. So what happens is on this gear, behind it, it's like a little pin, and that pin actually goes into a hole which sort of locks it onto the camshaft. So it means that to just retime it, all I've got to do is sort of just take off that, undo that, pull it out, and sort of spin it, which means it's easy to time. And also I've got it to the same setting that it was on when I got the engine. It's some sort of fly thing. Oh my god! I got to the same setting as that. I don't think it's exactly the right setting, because I'll spin the engine and show you why. I don't know which valve is which, but I'll spin it and I'll work it out. Okay, that's the intake, that's the exhaust. So it's intake now. So now this is the compression stroke. And you see, that's before top dead center there, and this is starting to lift. And so it's still up in the air when it's about that far out down the power stroke. So I don't know. I'm leaving it at the exact same settings I got it with, but if I need to retime it, it's easy. Okay, I put all the timing in that oil pump back on. It was a bit harder than what I thought, but it's all there now. So what I do now is probably put the piston and conrod back together. What I have to do, I've just got to think about how I put it together, because normally what you do in like a car engine or something is you'd put the cylinder on, then you'd drop the piston and conrod down and attach it, but I can't do that because I can get to the nut on this side to tighten it, but I can't get to the nut on that side if it's in there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't get to the nut on that side. So what I have to do is probably put the piston and conrod back on, tighten it all up, put the rings back in, then using another person, get them to hold the cylinder and feed the ring and piston in and drop it down like that. I don't know if I mentioned it in the earlier video, but I've got a sort of problem with all the gaskets I made, because the guy at the machine shop was telling me, but I didn't realise this, that there's got to be a certain amount of clearance between this thrust bearing here and there and in there, and if I use a new one, which is a bit thicker than the original, actually it's not that much thicker, might have to get a micrometer on it, see if there is much difference. Probably not actually. Yeah, I might use my made gaskets and yeah. Okay, this will be the last video of the part of the Coventry Victor in this set that I upload, because I've got a few issues relating to like torque settings and ring end gap, which I want to do properly, because I don't know the... Oh, where's the crankshaft? Connecting rod gone. Oh. I don't know what the torque setting should be for the connecting rod, and I don't know what the end gap should be for the rings. I'll put the rings in now, square them up and see what the end gap is, but I just don't want to put it in and not do it correctly. I even want to know ways of putting the rings on correctly. I mean, I can put them on. I mean, I'm not a dumbass, but I just want to be able to do it correctly and not have it stuff up. It's not a lawnmower where I can get parts for free or doesn't matter if it breaks, you know. So I'll put these in, the rings in, and see what the gap is. Okay, yeah, so each ring, both compression and oil, has a ring gap of 21 thou, an end gap. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So probably post this up tonight. Well, obviously, and then go from there. Then the next thing I've got to test when I put it on is the head clearance, but I'll do that in another video. I'll just measure the ring clearance from the old rings. Actually, that'll be a bit interesting. If you can remember that the old rings had like this weird 4-piece ring, like that went in one of the ring grooves. It's 4 pieces, like a scraper ring, I think they called it. So my new pistons are just 2 oil rings. They said that these are pretty unnecessary. That's the old ring there. You can see the gap. That ring there gap is bigger than my feeler gauge will actually measure. So that's what probably, I don't know, I can't work that out in my head right now. I'll work it out later. Bigger than what my feeler gauge can measure. This next ring is the bit bigger than I think I counted these up to 42 thou. So probably maybe even 50 thou of an inch. So that's just how worn they are. And I'll do the oil ring now. The oil ring's end gap is 34 thousandths of an inch. So all these rings are pretty badly worn. I could feel when I'm putting them in, they're so much easier to put in there. So they're not springy at all. Well, they are, but compared to the new ones, they're quite limp. I'm on some old engine forum, just posted a topic about a few questions about it. So hopefully I'll get some answers from them. I'm thinking if I can't get a good answer from them about here, what I'll do is I'll just look at a similar size connecting rod and sort of just torque it up to that setting. I was just reading a post on a forum saying that you could actually remove rust with vinegar. And there's a few guys who've done it with varying degrees of success, so I thought I'd do my own test. I've got the crank handle here, so I'm going to get a tub, cover that in vinegar for say 6-8 hours, and then yeah, see if it comes off, scrub it with a wire brush. I don't think I'll do it to this. I thought I'd test it on a few things, hopefully that fits in. Bugger, doesn't fit in. Doesn't matter, maybe I won't do it to that. Yeah, I've got this little tyre thing. I don't know how rusted it is. Well, it's a little bit rusted, so I'll put that in vinegar and cover that with vinegar, and yeah, see what happens. And also I'll just pour some vinegar in the bottom of this bucket because that's pretty rusted, and see what happens. I'm also going to put the bottom of the air cleaner in there. So got a few things to test. I'll just take a few photos beforehand. Okay, what I thought I'd do is I don't have much vinegar, so before I go out and buy some, I'll just test it on these few parts. I'll even just scrub the bottom of this because this bottom of that pan's pretty rusted, so just do it on the bottom of this as far up as it reaches in that spanner. Tyre, I think it is actually. And the bottom of this bucket. I left the vinegar overnight, and in this bucket it's disappeared, so I don't know what's happened. Maybe it's just like soaked into the rust, but in here I just gave it a few scrapes and it's definitely worked. Definitely worked. I think most of it is just because I'm scraping, but up here wasn't really under it, and it's a bit harder to get off. So you still need to put in a bit of work to get the rust off, but it would definitely work, I'd say. I'll try and get it off the spanner. Okay, this video is just taken. This part of the video, I should say, is just taken before I uploaded it that night, and I went on the forum, the stationary engine forum, and I asked them what the torque settings should be, and they said that torque settings only really came into the industry around the 1960s. A lot of the manuals you would say, you know, hand tight with a 6-inch spanner or dead tight with a 1-foot bar. That's just quoted directly off the forum, and I actually remember that in the manual it says to tighten the flywheel bolt on like as tight as you can, then give it half a dozen smart blows with a hammer. It's like a hammer on the end of the spanner. So I'll just sort of not quite guess the torque setting. I'll I'll have a general look around and see what cars and stuff have. But yeah, so that's interesting. I didn't realise that. And also, if you remember, it has a split pin that goes in there. So I've just got to make sure that I can fit the split pin back through that hole. It should line up perfectly.